Good morning on this February 11th, 2021. Snow in the east and sunshine out west. Today we're going to talk to Thomas McElroy, the founder of Level One Global Solutions, a technology and IT infrastructure firm that facilitates millions of dollars in contracts for real estate developers, corporations, and government. But first, of course, we go into the headlines of the day, starting with Dr. James Hildreth, the president and CEO of Meharry Medical College in Tennessee. He was named to President Joe Biden's COVID-19 Health Equity Task Force. COVID-19 has killed hundreds of thousands of Americans, and if adequate steps are not taken, this number will continue to grow, Dr. Hildreth said yesterday. He went on to say, as we have seen, COVID-19 does not discriminate. It does not respect borders, and it does not behave according to our timelines. He noted that the United States has reported more than 27.2 million cases of the virus, and the death toll is nearing 470,000. Also, a New York Times report this morning suggests that more than 110 million Americans have likely had the virus, including unconfirmed cases, and another 33 million now have received at least one vaccination. So there's an update even to those numbers. Also, this morning, we are following a breaking story yesterday. Georgia prosecutors have opened a criminal investigation into Donald Trump's phone call to the Secretary of State, in which the former president asked him to, quote, find votes. The president said on that phone call, all I want to do is this. I just want to find 11,780 votes, which is one more than we have because we won the state, he falsely claimed to the Secretary of State, Brad Raffensperger, in the January 2nd telephone call. Ironically, the text of that phone call has played a prominent role in the House second impeachment of the 45th president, and it is expected to play a central role in the current impeachment trial in the Senate. So that's one worth watching. We also, along those lines, we also saw two new video evidence presented by the House impeachment managers that showed just how close the insurrectionists got to Senator Mitt Romney, how the officer Goodman, the African-American officer who was cited as a hero in all of this, actually saved the senator from harm. Also, we saw how close they got to former Vice President Mike Pence. And if you recall, they were incited by Mike Pence's refusal to try and overturn the election for Donald Trump. So there's a lot going on there. The impeachment hearing continues on Capitol Hill today. Another news in sports, the Dallas Mavericks have stopped playing the national anthem before home games at the direction of owner Mark Cuban. Mark Cuban declared that he had hoped that the NBA would allow players to do what's in their heart. He said, whether it's holding their arm in the air, whether it's taking a knee, whatever it is, I don't think this is an issue of respect or disrespect to the flag or to the anthem or to our country. I think this is more a reflection of our players' commitment to this country and the fact that it is so important to them that they're willing to say what's in their heart and do what they think is right. So Mark Cuban was taking a stand there, but later last night, though, the NBA decided that they would enforce an old rule in which all teams must play the national anthem prior to games, and now that they're letting audiences back in. Right now, we're going to bring in Dr. Ben Chavez, our president and CEO. Dr. Chavez, good morning.
Good morning, Stacy. How are you?
Good. So, Dr. Chavez, I wanted to go back a moment to the situation with the Dallas Mavericks and Mark Cuban. Mark Cuban had refused to play the national anthem this season thus far at games in Dallas. He stood with the players' rights, he said, to kneel. And he also said now he's recognizing the importance of Colin Kaepernick. However, the NFL apparently still hasn't recognized the importance.
Well, I think that first of all, symbols and reality. I think that certainly the national anthem is an important, because it is the national anthem. That's why it's called the national anthem. It is the national song of our democracy. The flag of the United States is a very important, not just symbol, but reality. We all were horrified to see the Confederate flag inside the Capitol on January the 6th. So our country, Stacy, our nation, in Black America, we take also symbols very seriously. We take the liberation flag, the red, black, and green, very seriously. But I think that Mark Cuban has decided to stand with his players, and I think he should be saluted for that. However, I do not think that other owners should be made or forced to do what Mark did. I think Mark expressed his freedom of expression, which we support, and other owners will express their freedom. And comparing the NBA to the NFL or the NHL or Major League Baseball, I would say all the professional sports have to move more to affirm the importance of diversity and inclusion, to challenge systemic racism. One of the things I admire early now in the Biden-Harris administration, they have not retreated. Almost every speech the President of the United States talks about ending systemic racism in America. And that's what we're going to have to do, Stacy. So I think Mark Cuban is doing his part. I think other NBA owners will eventually do their part. NFL owners will do their part, et cetera, et cetera. And to our listeners this morning, on behalf of the Black Press of America, I think that we have to keep pressing forward, even during this COVID-19 pandemic, and even during continuing recurring incidents of white supremacy. We cannot be deterred. And this is Black History Month. We got to continue to make Black history. So I personally, Stacy, I salute Mark Cuban.
Yeah, well, and it's a big change for Mark Cuban from a few years ago when Colin Kaepernick took the knee. Mark Cuban was against that, but he came on our program.
Well, he probably didn't understand it. A lot of people. See,
yeah, exactly.
This is the importance of evolution of thought, evolution of consciousness, evolution of awareness. I think that we all grow, we all learn, and we should extract learnings from our history. A lot of Black history is tragic, but a lot of Black history is also triumphant. But we learn from our tragedies and we learn from our triumphs. We should never get to the place where we are arrogant, where we are cynical, where we are sort of a state of hopelessness. That's not our history. Our history is that we overcome these difficulties. We overcome these disparities. Yeah. We take, the bitter taste of lemon and make it lemonade, if I could use that analogy. So I think that we have to, see not the glass as half empty, but see the glass as half full.
Yeah, and that's exactly what Mark Cuban told us when he came on our program last year about his evolution, Dr. Chavis. He said he had to sit down with his family. They actually walked down to a Black Lives Matter protest, and he explained to his family the importance of doing what's right and changing, not just doing what's right, but changing age-old thinking that he admitted that he once had. So you're right about that, 100%. Dr. Chavis, speaking of Black history, you always say making more Black history in Black History Month is important. Well, your homegirl in New York, the prosecutor, Letitia James, she had made it no
Attorney General, the New York Attorney General, yes.
Yes, the Attorney General. She had made it no secret throughout toward the end of Trump's presidency, really throughout his presidency, that she was looking into some criminal activity from the Trump organization, and she was very bold in speaking out. Now another African-American woman prosecutor has Donald Trump in her crosshairs. It's Fannie Willis down in Georgia, I should say. She's opened the investigation into Trump's attempts to influence the administration of the 2020 Georgia general election. We talked earlier, Dr. Chavis, about the infamous phone call Donald Trump made to the Secretary of State there. But Ms. Willis, the prosecutor there, says that this investigation includes, but is not limited to, potential violations of Georgia law prohibiting the solicitation of election fraud the making of false statements to state and local governmental bodies, conspiracy, racketeering, violation of oath of office, and any involvement in violence or threats related to the elections administration. The Democrat was sworn in on January 1st. And Dr. Chavis, it is really tough when you got two dedicated Black women coming after you.
Well, I think that, keep in mind, this is a matter of law. This is a matter of facts. The Attorney General of New York and the District Attorney, the prosecutor in Georgia, they're following the law. And I think the fact that they lead are Black women, dynamic, boldful, courageous Black women, I think that makes all of us proud. It shows that we can be before the bar, and we can be the bar of justice. We can be the bar of equality. And we pushed hard to get African Americans to be judges, African Americans to be attorney generals, African Americans to be in the reform of the criminal justice system, because we know that Black people, even to this day, Stacy, are still disproportionately negatively impacted by the criminal justice system. So to see two sisters, as you have mentioned, in New York and now in Georgia, take the lead in challenging the misdeeds and even the criminal deeds that's been investigated by the former president of the United States. All of us should, again, be prepared to support the courageous stance of these legal minds, these legal geniuses who are Black women who are taking their statutory responsibility. They're taking the oath of office very seriously.
Yeah, and Global Solutions is a Level One Global Solutions is a technology and IT infrastructure firm that facilitates millions of dollars in contracts for real estate developers, corporations, and governments. Thomas McElroy joins us now, and his company implemented after 9/11 and rolled out tech solutions for the U.S. Department of Homeland Security and built infrastructure for Amazon bid sites. He was deemed Tech Entrepreneur of the Year in 2020. Welcome, Mr. McElroy.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here this morning.
Good morning, Brother McElroy. Thank you for your leadership.
Chavis, good morning, and thank you for yours. We met years ago at the Million Man March.
Yes. 25 years ago, we were definitely lifting up not only the possibilities but potentialities of African Americans making a difference. And Stacy, we want to invite our brother McElroy to our tech conference. We're trying to, on behalf of the Black press, we want to make sure that we're innovating, that we're using the latest in technology. And you're one of the tech giants, Brother McElroy. So thank you for all of what you do.
Thank you very kindly. We've done a couple of things here and there.
Listen to the modesty. So, Mr. McElroy, what can you discuss a little bit of the type of clients you serve?
The type of clients that we serve fall into a couple of different areas. Architects, for one, we do the design drawings for their voice, data, video, and security implementations. Construction companies, we have a team of network engineers that actually implement the technology infrastructure that was designed as part of the architect set. And third, a substantial portion of our portfolio are government clients. For instance, the city of Chicago, the state of Illinois, the county of Cook, and so forth, in implementing their technology systems. They put out different RFPs for different kinds of technology infrastructure, and we, either on our own or in partnership with others, craft a solution to solve those issues that governments have.
Yeah, and can you also discuss, because as Dr. Chavis pointed out, you are very successful, but what challenges, especially as an African American in this business, in the tech space, what challenges did you face and perhaps still face?
Well, some of the issues you run into with a business that whose currency is intellectual property, and the knowledge and the experience of the team. You don't necessarily have a warehouse full of equipment that one can loan money against. So having a professional services firm, the financing a lot of times in the beginning can be harder because there aren't assets to lean against. So that those are some barriers that, hopefully this new administration in DC, along with having the kinds of partners in the city and in the county and the state that we have here in Illinois, can help facilitate some solutions for the next group that are coming behind, so that they won't have to experience the same kinds of challenges as we did.
And what would you say? I mean, you've accomplished a lot. Last year, you were the Tech Entrepreneur of the Year. What goals do you have going forward? And as far as including getting more Black Americans included, and other minorities in the tech space?
Well, we've actually looked at, as unfortunate as COVID has been, and the devastation it's had on communities, from a health standpoint, but also from a jobs and an economic standpoint, we actually looked at COVID from a different standpoint. A lot of really, really good talent got laid off throughout this COVID process. We are firm believers that, when the pendulum of the economy swings one way, which is often not in a very good way, at some point it's going to swing back the other way. We viewed this as an opportunity to hire really good talent. There's a lot of talent out in the street right now. We took this as an opportunity to get ready for what's next, because this economy is starting to move back in the right direction. You're going to look at what the Biden administration is about to put their $1 trillion program in the street. There will be an infrastructure program afterward. And the fortunate thing is, with these kinds of programs coming from Democratic-led administrations, there's going to be a smaller chance that folks will get the waivers and the opportunity to put packages together that are so large that minority and small firms won't be able to participate. So there's going to be a lot of participation that will be available. There's going to be a lot of money that's going to come in to the streets to help rebuild the economy, and we're just trying to get ready for it.
Well, we want to say good morning to Shirley J. Carter from the beautiful city of Philadelphia, Nicole McDaniel, Bobby Henry, our publisher down in Florida, Lynn Spivey, and David Youngblood. Dr. Chavis?
Yes, I just wanted to say to Brother McElroy that, we want to encourage, I hear from so many Generation Z and young millennials who want to get into the tech field as entrepreneurs. Could you share what you think? Are there opportunities? A lot of times in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, STEM fields, there still seems to be not enough of our brothers and sisters who go into these fields because they don't see the entrepreneur or the business or the career opportunities. Kind of talk to what, from your distinguished and experienced perspective, what does the market bear in terms of more diversity and inclusion of African Americans?
This particular part of the economy needs African American participation like never before. There will be more and more tech jobs. A lot of these jobs won't require a 4-year degree. What they will require are certain kinds of certifications from the different kinds of equipment manufacturers and some of the different kinds of processes that you can get. You've got city college systems that will serve to teach those programs. There's seminars in various areas where you can get the training on these kinds of programs, but they don't need 4-year degrees, where you can end up with 50, 60, 70,000 plus. And, if you're in a situation that requires overtime, you can watch your salary creep into the 6-figure area. If you look at what happened with COVID, what COVID laid bare is old schools are going to have to be replaced sooner than later. Old facilities are going to have to be replaced. sooner than later. The average age of your quote unquote, union electrician or union pipe fitter is somewhere near the 50s. Those individuals aren't going to be in the business very long simply because of age. There has to be, there's space for a crew to come in behind them. If you look at what's going on here at the airport, here in Chicago at O'Hare, it's an $8 billion program. The Chicago Transit Authority's got a $2 or $3 billion program. There's 7 mega developments going on in the city of Chicago right now. They're all billion-dollar enterprises. There aren't enough skilled tradesmen, skilled folks in technology to deal with what is going to be required for all of that to come to fruition. This is a great time to get a trade. This is also a great time, if you have a small business, hurry and get certified by your local municipality, because these government grants and these government programs that are coming down from the federal government to the states and the cities will require those firms to be certified. And your local governments can certify you to be a business, partner you with a larger firm, and you can start creating your own path on what you want to be, hiring individuals and creating jobs in your own community. This is a great opportunity, and we need to take advantage of it right now.
Oh, that's great advice. And again, on the 24th of February, the National Newspaper Publishers Association and Zinger News, we've joined together to sponsor our first national virtual tech conference. And so, Brother Michael, we're going to be calling on you because your expertise, I want the people at the conference to hear your voice and your perspective, which I think is very important.
Whatever we can do to assist.
Yeah, and Mr. McElroy, talk to us a little bit about smart cities. There's a lot of misinformation when it comes to that. Can you kind of point us in the right direction on smart cities?
I'm involved in a few of those projects here in Chicago that are about to come out of the starting gate. Again, you have another billion-dollar opportunity, or in Chicago, you have a series of billion-dollar opportunities where entire new neighborhoods are being built from greenfield, literally from nothing, where there's an opportunity to reimagine public safety, an opportunity to reimagine renewable energy, an opportunity to reimagine the technology infrastructure. So the idea of autonomous vehicles is not just a talking point, but it's something that can actually happen. The idea of the infrastructure for 5G going forward, so that your cell phone will work, so that your streaming video on your tablet will work as it's supposed to, or what you will have as time goes forward. You're going to have more machines talking to other machines, and that 5G infrastructure is how that data will get moved. It's an opportunity to start from scratch. It's an opportunity to, what we had here in Chicago, which I'm sure took place in many other cities around the country, where schools were out because of COVID, or children had to then, learn from home. And maybe they got a device from their school, but they didn't have the infrastructure in their house to actually use the device. Here's also an opportunity to make a substantial dent in the digital divide, because a lot of these high-tech communities have the ability to expand that infrastructure outside of the boundaries of those communities into underserved areas, so that, kids who may not have had access to technology infrastructure now will have it available to them. It will be concentrated in that particular smart city area, but there are ways of extending beyond the boundaries of those areas into underserved areas. And we spend a lot of time figuring out those solutions.
Outstanding. That's the best explanation I've heard so far. So, Mr. McElroy, how did you, tell us a little bit briefly, how did you get into this field? What interested you and actually gave you that inspiration?
And this was completely by accident. 1 week after September 11th, 2001, I was hired to design a data center in the John H. Stroger Cook County Hospital here in Chicago. And the venture capital partner and the management team parted company literally a week after September 11th, 2001. And it was a very, very bad day. It will take a series of drinks to tell you all the whole story. But what I would say is I went back. I used to work for the county years ago. I knew the hospital director. We had a conversation about what unfortunately just happened. I was going to unload my desk in the construction trailer when a couple of the project managers had a brilliant idea. Said, well, you're the one here in the trailer every day that we see. What if we issued you an emergency contract to finish the design work of the data center? I was an engineer. I didn't go to B school. So I really didn't know how to act, but I didn't have a job. I was scared to death. I was about to be engaged to a Black woman, which means I had to tell her I didn't have a job. Therefore, I decided, well, I guess I'll just try this out and see what I can do. So I was told to go to the capital planning office the next day and see an individual about an emergency procurement. As I was loading my items back into my desk, another group of engineers came out and said, oh, we hear you're going to help us with the data center in the hospital. That's wonderful. Do you mind helping us with the rest of the hospital? John H. Stroger Hospital is a 1.2 million square foot hospital facility, which is the crown jewel of Cook County Health and Hospital System. But that's how we got started. And
wow.
We've been in the middle of mission critical infrastructure for healthcare, the Department of Aviation, police and fire training. We're currently designing the Police and Fire Training Academy, camera systems for the entire Chicago public school system, and a few other things that I unfortunately can't mention.
Well, that's great. Well, listen, we want to stay in touch with you. This is a different type of news program where we certainly deal with the headlines of the day, but we also lift up those success stories within Black America. And because to me, your success, Brother McElroy, that should be the headline. Too often in the mainstream press, the headlines are when Black people fail, when something tragic happens, or the suffering of our people is the only thing that is accented in the media. And that's why the Black press, we not only do the counterbalance, we try to transcend the negative with the positive. And your story is certainly positive and encouraging. And so we want to, I know what you're doing in Chicago, $1 billion projects here and there, but we also want to work with you and not only in Cook County and Illinois, but also around the country. I think your story, your message is so important to all of our communities around the country, of these opportunities where we can get in those career tracks. And I think that you can be a great role model, Brother McElroy, for the next generation of tech geniuses.
Well, just like Mr. Chavis, you were a role model for those of us in my framework that came along. Whatever I can do to assist, we're more than happy.
Very good.
You know, I'm going to use my first ever Cardi B quote. He's making money moves, Dr. Chavis. Tech Conference 2021 will share the best ideas and innovation for the 21st century with its associated challenges in growing families, businesses, and institutions and organizations. Congresswoman Yvette Clarke of New York will deliver the keynote address, and Dana White, the Hyundai CEO, will speak during a session titled Driving Past the Pandemic. You can go to blackpressusa.com for information on how to register for this one-day summit that begins at 11 a.m. on Wednesday, February 24th, because it's designed to help other small minority business owners and reveal the secret to success during and after the pandemic. So very important. Tech Conference 2021 coming up on February the 24th. Our Black History Month Remembrance. Alethea Browning Tanner, In her early years, she sold vegetables in a produce stall near President Square in Washington, D.C., which is now known as Lafayette Square. According to the District of Columbia's Research, Resources, and Records, she bought her freedom. She purchased her freedom in 1810 and later purchased several relatives' freedom. She was the first woman on the roll of members of the Union Bethel AME Church, and she owned land in a store on 14th and 8th Street in Washington, D.C., which she left to her nephews. One of her nephews later sold that property for $100,000. And now a park, the Alethea Tanner Park, has been named in her honor. It's located at 227 Harry Thomas Way in Northeast Washington, D.C., remembering a Black History moment with Alethea Browning Tanner. Let it be known, it is not the load that breaks you down, it's the way you carry it. We will see you tomorrow. Thanks for joining us.